It's weird because he's like begging to be canceled. He's like, please cancel me. God, I want to be canceled so bad. If I say this really innocuous, boring thing, am I gonna get canceled for it? Like, it's like he wants to be canceled because like, obviously he understands that depending on how you swing it, usually any publicity is good publicity. And being canceled usually just means that somebody gets a lot of attention. And if you can, like if you're good enough to be able to parlay that into subsequent attention and money, it's a good move. And I'm sure like Eminem has the capacity to do it. And the reason why I'm sure he has the capacity to do it is because he's already done it. That's literally the genesis of his career. The irony about like, oh, is Gen Z gonna cancel me? Is like the main reason why you keep chasing this dragon of being controversial and like the reason why you can't shake off the yoke of Slim Shady and just be Marshall Mathers is because your kind of controversy isn't controversial anymore. What made you popular isn't controversial anymore. People have become desensitized to a lot of the that made you popular in the past. So this is really good. But like the problem with this is that he's incorrect because I'm very well aware that I am, you know? Like I know, I'm aware. Like, he's already wrong. Fucking stupid. But yeah, I don't know. So I guess the thing that's going on that has some people talking a little bit, if I can find it here. Now, of course, I'm not gonna because Twitter is awful, so let me go to what I was looking at. There's a couple of them that people have been talking about. One is on the song Road Rage. Now, of course, like I said, I haven't listened to the album. I will at some point, probably. I don't really care about, like, analyzing it as a musical product or as the piece of art that it is. You know, you can go to Antoine Fantoine if you want that. But I find Eminem's career interesting in ways that I've already talked about on a previous video. And I think this buttresses my previous argument in a way that I find nice because I like being correct. This person wrote, Eminem speaks on the trans community on the song Road Rage, quote. So, I've been watching too much Northern Lion, and Chibley's impression of Eminem, where he's like, don't you just want to touch a boob? It's like, it just sounds like Louis Armstrong and Eminem together. That's awfully hot coffee, pot. It's really good. Anyway, sorry. It's just, as soon as I was going to read it, I'm like, I kind of have to, but I probably shouldn't. So he says, so transgender rights, where do I stand? Oh, I'm all for them. I really am pro. Hell yeah, let's go. Poggers. Call me a transphobe because I just can't cope. And try and pretend you was never a man, though. I mean, damn, bro, it's just the way I feel, but if I say it, will it get me cancelled? I've had tea stronger than this, man. So, like, I don't doubt that he's pro-trans. I imagine the extent of his allyship is, like, I don't care. Which is fair. That should be, like, the baseline, you know? But, like, it's like you want there to be discourse around this line in a negative capacity more than likely because you know that it's a good way to get like your album out there, you know? Because that's what a lot of people do. It's like rage bait, but like it doesn't really hit, you know? It's boring. Because like what, this doesn't even mean anything. Like this is just something that's going on in his head. Like if you see a trans woman and you have some kind of like thoughts or feelings about the fact that they were assigned male at birth or whatever, like, that doesn't affect anybody, really, unless you're in a relationship with said trans woman, in which case then it's probably relevant. But, like, otherwise, you're literally just telling us, like, a feeling that you have, and, like, I don't know that anybody's supposed to care about it, you know? Like, sure, man. I don't think it's gonna get you canceled, though. It might with, like, the 12-year-olds on Twitter that shouldn't have a Twitter account, who, like, just learned about the difference between gender and biological sex in school, and they're like, oh, shit, wait. And then they get, like, mad about it. But, like, I don't think anybody cares about this, is the problem. It goes on, I gotta memorize pronouns of a cis man. How come we can't just show solidarity with a wristband? This I don't understand. I don't exactly know what he has planned. I feel like anybody who gets mad at this should pound... Anyway, sorry. It's like, first of all, based, fuck memorizing the pronouns of a cis man. The thing is, though, like, they're usually going to be he, him, so, like, you shouldn't have to memorize them. It's usually evident. You know, obviously, you can't always assume, because there are probably some people who identify as cis men who might, like, use they pronouns when they're feeling spicy, but, like, it's usually he, him. So, like, you don't have to memorize anything, so, like, you missed on that one, I suppose. And how come we can't just show solidarity with a wristband? Like, you literally can. What do you mean? If you want to wear the trans flag on your wrist, more power to you. Nobody's stopping you. Now, obviously, that's not enough. right? Like, if you have a lot of money and influence, you might be able to, you know, if you're really, like, an ally and you want to be in solidarity with queer people, you could, like, donate to orgs or be more vocally pro-queer or whatever marginalized group. Like, there is an expectation for you if you have a lot of money and, like, a massive megaphone for being one of the best-selling artists of all time to, like, do a little bit more, but, like, you don't have to. It's just that it's going to be a lot of people who want you to. And I don't know that it's necessarily hard to either. Because, like, what pushback are you going to get from, like, right-wingers that you already pissed off by talking about how you were going to drop an awfully hot coffee pot on him, you know? Like, there's not going to be any blowback except for people that you've already alienated, where you were previously the only rapper they listened to because you were white. Still is white, allegedly. And this ain't even a diss, trans people. My dick just won't expand. Them tits won't make it stand. But Caitlyn, big fan. I assume he's talking about Caitlyn Jenner. Because, like, that's the only trans woman that anybody of his generation knows. Because, like, she was a very popular athlete, and then news of her transition was very big because of that. But anyway, like, we don't need to know. I don't know that many people care that a trans woman doesn't get your dick hard. It's cool, like, if you want to tell us that, but it's weird. You know? And, like, you could be weird about it. That's fine. But, like, I just don't get the point. Like, it's funny, but for a reason that I don't think he intended, you know? And also, like, I can almost guarantee that if you just showed, like, a picture of, in this case, a very passing trans woman, to the point where, like, it's unknown if she's cis or not, but it turns out she is trans, and you showed it to him, like, he'd probably be into it until further inspection, finding out about it, as per his previous writing, you know? Anyway, it's fucking dumb, dude. But, like, it's weird because he's, like, begging to be canceled almost. Like, he's like, please cancel me. God, I want to be canceled so bad. If I say this really innocuous, boring thing, am I going to get canceled for it? Like, it's like he wants to be canceled because, like, obviously he understands that depending on how you swing it, usually any publicity is good publicity. And being canceled usually just means that somebody gets a lot of attention. And if you can, like, if you're good enough to be able to parlay that into subsequent, you know, attention and money, it's a good move. And I'm sure, like, Eminem has the capacity to do it. And the reason why I'm sure he has the capacity to do it is because he's already done it. That's literally the genesis of his career. Like, the thought experiment is, if Eminem never existed, it was like some other white rapper that was popular or whatever, that was, like, edgier. And then Eminem today, as, like, a 21-year-old, decided to start up his rap career doing exactly the same shit that he was doing back in the 90s with the Slim Shady LP, with the Marshall Mathers LP. He would not have the capacity to get as big as he did then in the modern day. And the reason being is because, ironically, people have become less sensitive to the shit that he's talking about. The irony about, like, oh, is Gen Z gonna cancel me? I just want to go and take a pee, is, like, the main reason why you keep chasing this dragon of being controversial and, like, the reason why you can't shake off the yoke of Slim Shady and just be Marshall Mathers is because your kind of controversy isn't controversial anymore. What made you popular isn't controversial anymore. Nobody cares anymore. People have become desensitized to a lot of the shit that made you popular in the past. And the whole reason it worked in the past is because people were more sensitive in the 90s. And it wasn't like Tumblrinas and whatnot that were getting mad at him and giving him a bunch of free publicity by, like, getting triggered. It was literally white, old Christian people that were mad as hell about the shit he was saying. Because at the time, a lot of it was really edgy. He was talking about illicit drug use. He was doing skits about beating his wife, which, frankly, a lot of white religious people are probably in favor of. But, like, generally speaking, the more puritanical people out there are not going to be the biggest outward fans of that sort of thing. He's, like, saying the F slur a lot, which based, but, like, so am I, but in a different way, so not as good. Like, there were so many things that he was talking about. And obviously, he would talk shit on a whole lot of different celebrities out there, which is, like, a good SEO marketing practice of putting your name next to another celebrities to get talked about whenever you talk about people in that way. It's like, it worked back then. But now, like, there are so many mini-me's of Eminem that aren't even, like, necessarily doing this as a rapper, but are rather, like, just doing this as a career. They're like lolcows whose point is to be an inauthentic lolcow to rage bait and rile people up for attention. And sometimes it works out and they can parlay it into money, and sometimes they can't. Like, if you want to find out more about this, you can just watch any Jobry video on Kick streamers, because some of them are able to make it work and some aren't, you know? So the big reason why Eminem's been like struggling to find success is I think because he built up his career off of being super controversial. And obviously the elephant in the room, he's white, and being a rapper as a white guy, especially in the 90s when it was even more predominantly a black American thing, it's gonna get you a little bit of extra buzz. I mean, it did for a Vanilla Ice, but the added controversy and edginess that Eminem had like propelled him further, and then like Dr. Dre picks him up, and the rest is history. The Slim Shady LP comes out, Marshall Mathers LP comes out, and then it's all downhill from there, really. And like, this is, like I said, I've said this on Twitter, like, this is coming from somebody who, at the same time that I was listening to The Roots and A Tribe Called Quest and Dilated Peoples and all this other shit, I was also listening to, like, Bone Thugs and Harmony. I was also listening to Eminem. Because, like, these are just 90s hip-hop groups that I'd be hearing. And I'd go on Pandora, I'd put in whoever, like Bone Thugs radio, and then I'd find another artist that I like, and then I'll go make a radio of that, and then I'll find another, and I'll keep doing that. And I listened to a lot of music and got exposed to a lot of music from a variety of people in the hip-hop scene when I was in, like, late middle school, early high school. But at that same time, I was also listening to Eminem. Because, like, Without Me was big. My dad would make mixtapes with a whole bunch of different kinds of music on it. You know, one of the songs for one of the mixtapes of the CDs that he would make for us, I had, like, a Discman, which is, like, a Walkman portable CD player. One of them was, like, Without Me. One of them was Mockingbird. I actually, in, like, middle school, I wanted to, like, perform Mockingbird for, like, a talent show for a brief moment. I didn't. But, like, that was a thought that I had. I was regularly listening to the Slim Shady LP, the Marshall Mathers LP, and, whatever one came after that wasn't the Eminem show. So, like, this is not, like, from a place of malice. It's not like I don't have a history and an understanding of what this guy's output has been. It's just that, like, I don't hate Eminem, and I'm not trying to, like, give him shit for no reason. Which is why I prefaced all this with saying that I find his career interesting. Because it seems like, and this is, I think, good evidence of it, I think the seminal idea of the death of Slim Shady as an album, as a project, and the Houdini single that he released preceding it, was this idea that, like, the majority of his career has been built on controversy. And then, once that worked, nobody wants to see Marshall no more. They want Shady, he's chopped liver, you know? And he's been fighting that demon ever since. And it's tough. I sympathize. I empathize with him. Because it's got to be difficult to do that, and that's a big problem that a lot of people have who get big off of drama. It's like, okay, well, I mean, like, I got big off of drama because people thought looking at me and the antics I was getting up to were entertaining and interesting, but as soon as I, like, want to be a real person and be, like, the guy I kind of actually am in real life and want to show that to people, they don't give a fuck. You know, they're only here for a certain kind of content, and as soon as I start playing a video game on stream, they end up leaving, because it's not for them, and that's, you know, more power to them. It's just a difficult thing to deal with, especially if you want to keep making art. It sucks to, like, get popular off of one kind of art that you did like making, then you don't really like making it anymore, you're not in a position to be making it as well as you used to, but you have this other thing you want to do, but nobody really cares about it because of all the other shit you did, you know? It sucks. I get it. I've experienced it, like, a small version of that myself. And I'm interested to see what the death of Slim Shady, once I listen to it, what, you know, there is to, you know, be gained from any introspection he might be doing. Because it seems like a very introspective album. That's just a guess on my part, given the name, you know, the death of Slim Shady. It's kind of like the point, it would seem. So I'll be interested to see how that goes. Because it can't be easy. But, like, I just find this sad, you know? Like, it's funny because it's bad, but, like, it's like, what the hell you doing, man? Like, yeah, like, Fac was, like, real edge, okay? And it was interesting, too. Like, I was seeing people's responses to this, and there were people who were like, people are saying that Eminem, he's trying so hard to be controversial, but, like, newsflash for the people who've been fans of him for a long time, he's always been this way. And it's like, that's not what the people saying he's trying to be controversial are saying. They're saying he's trying too hard to be controversial, right? Like, he wants to be controversial. He wants to create controversy because that's what, you know, buttered his bread in the past. But he's trying and failing. That's, I think, what people are recognizing. Not that, oh my god, he wants to be edgy so bad and we're mad at the fact that he's doing that. It's more of a, oh, he's trying to be controversial and it's not working. It's not that he's changed in that way. It is how he's always been. He's just not good at it anymore, it would seem. Like, unironically, the most controversial he's done in his modern work was coming out against Donald Trump very fiercely, which I respect. You know, you're like the white rapper that people know in a predominantly black American genre of music. And a lot of your audience is like people who came from origins that you did, which is like really like poverty-stricken, poor white rural areas that have their own slew of problems. They just don't have to worry about the race aspect of that as much, or at all, really. And a lot of those people, for better or for worse, you know, it seems to be the stereotype. A lot of those people are probably at one point Trump supporters, and alienating a lot of those potential people that could be fans of yours, and potentially even being seen as corny for getting too political. Even though his music has always been. He talked about wanting to see the precedent dead. You know, it's never been said, but he said precedent, not president. Like, he's always gotten into politics, but, like, to be seen as, like, corny or whatever, and then maybe alienate that group of people is a potential negative to your career. But, like, he wanted to show that he's not a Trump supporter, and he thinks that the shit that Trump's doing is bad, which is fair enough. It's a low bar to clear, obviously, but, like, it's still good for him to do. Which is what's weird about, like, how come we can't just show solidarity with a wristband? I mean, you didn't just show solidarity with black people in this instance when you came out against Donald Trump with a wristband. You, like, made a whole fucking thing about it. You talked about wanting to drop an awfully hot coffee pot on him. You know, that's pretty severe stuff. Like, you could do more if you wanted to, and that's what people, you know, think it would be cool for you to do. I don't know. But, like, he's right. It's not a diss. It's just weird. I think the problem with the current thing he's trying to do is a lot of people are aware of Eminem as an artist, but understanding that the Slim Shady persona and the context around it has fallen off over the years. The general audience just doesn't know enough about the details of his career to contextualize what he's trying to do here. Yeah. In the late 90s and 2000s, he was actually controversial. Yeah, because he was one of the only people doing it. The thing is, there are so many other Eminems in the sea, but, you know, it'd be so empty without him, you know? He's talked about this shit. When did Without Me come out? Like, he said it in his own words. 2002. Early 2000s. Post 9/11, mind you. Like, he's been known for a long time that, like, there was a specter haunting Marshall Mathers, and it was Slim Shady. Man, I don't know, Slim Shady was subversive as fuck on the Slim Shady LP. Any appearance from the Slim Shady persona after was flanderized. I don't know. I think Marshall Mathers LP had some, you know, some controversial shit. But, like, at that point, like, obviously the peak is the Slim Shady LP. When it comes to controversy, Eminem's getting up to. Like, there's literally a skit and a detailed song about him abusing his wife on that one, you know? And a variety of other things. That said, we don't get the kind of edge that Fack brought us. That song, probably best to be left and forgotten by history. But that one did happen as well. That one was after the Marshall Mathers LP, too. Which is interesting. For real, it was the end of the Satanic Panic. There was just a whole massive thing around parental advisory warning stickers. Yeah. No, it was just a different time, and it just doesn't work anymore. Slim Shady made a lot of appearances after that work as well. That didn't age well, but White America is essentially a conversation between Marshall and Slim where he addresses all of this. I don't know. Like I've always said about Eminem, to me, Eminem is like the rapper for the people who are like, I don't listen to rap music, I don't like it, but I fuck with Eminem, though, you know? Like, dudes who are usually listening to, like, dog shit pop country and other nonsense like that, and, like, the national anthem, slowed and reverb, chopped and screwed, who are, like, obviously racist, but are like, yeah, I could listen to Eminem because he's a white guy. It always feels like that's, like, the kind of person that talks about being a fan of Eminem, like, outwardly, which is unfortunate, obviously, because I don't think he deserves that. I don't know that he's necessarily catered to that, either. Obviously, he talks a lot about his struggles growing up as a poor white guy in a rundown area. And, like, a lot of that, there is, like, a lot of overlap with that for a lot of other people of different demographics who've grown up in poverty. But a lot of those other demographics, like black and brown people, queer people, etc., there's an additional layer of bullshit you have to deal with, be it racism, homophobia, transphobia, whatever, that interfaces with the other things, the poverty and whatnot going on, that just makes it a lot more difficult. It's not a contest, it's just how it is. It's reality. But, like, there's going to be a lot of people who resonate with a lot of that shit, and it's good that somebody was out there putting that kind of shit out there, because poor white people do often get left out of the conversation. And I think that's unfortunate, because it's one of the unifying aspects of the human existence that would help everybody, like, if people got together and, you know, try to work shit out, is class. Class is one of many things that is involved within intersectionality and an intersectional analysis of the problems people have in the world. And poor white people don't really understand what it's like to, you know, have racists give you shit because of your skin color, or like be denied a job or whatever. But they do understand what it's like to live paycheck to paycheck. They do understand what it's like to live for a boss that you've never seen, who doesn't give a fuck about you and is constantly trying to get you to work longer hours for less money and worse working conditions. They understand that. And the thing is, like, other poor people got to deal with that too that aren't white. And if you can kind of empathize with that, then you can start breaking down any potential barriers that helps people, like, empathize with the plight of marginalized groups and the additional shit that they have to deal with on top of being poor, you know? It's a good intro, I think, to intersectionality, specifically for white people. Poor white people are going to be able to understand that, and hopefully you can use that in conversation to kind of open their mind a little bit about experiences that they simply will never have, given the fact that they're white, you know? So it was good, I think, that he was talking about a lot of that shit. And, like, obviously there's going to be a lot of, like, black and brown people that can resonate with a lot of what he was talking about early on when it comes to a lot of his commentary around growing up in poverty and having to deal with all this shit, because it's a unique class-based experience that people have if you're poor. It just ends up being a little bit different depending on, like, your skin color, where you're living, etc. Anyway. So, I don't know. I just find it very interesting. That's all. Worst thing to come out of Eminem is Tom McDonald probably being inspired by him. Don't put that evil on him. Holy shit. That's messed up, dude. It really is, though. It's always a bunch of dumbass right-wingers who are like, oh my god, trans people are so triggered by this. The Alphabet Mafia are so triggered by this. And then, like, the Alphabet Mafia is like, yeah, that's kind of sad, man. We used to enjoy the controversy you were getting up to in the past, and this is just not controversial, it's just boring, you know? It's a shame, dude. I mentioned this as well when I talked about it. Like, the people that I know, myself being a queer, talk about a lot edgier shit when it comes to our communities and ourselves. Obviously, usually in, like, a gallows humor kind of way, or just, like, a fun thing to do to kind of minimize the effects of people who would say similar shit to us but mean it. It's a good way to, like, disempower a lot of negativity that you'll experience, and it's fun. So, like, a lot of the shit that's gonna be said about us, and this isn't even meant to be, like, the Eminem thing's not even meant to be disparaging, really. It definitely doesn't hit for whatever it's trying to do. But, like, it doesn't do anything. Like, nobody should care about this. And it's just, like, nobody would if, like, he didn't include the, will it get me canceled? Silly. Anyway. I look forward to see what this album brings. I haven't listened to a new Eminem project since, like, Recovery, I think. And that was ages ago. So, I did hear the one single that was released that featured some other rappers. I forget what it's called. But it goes, like, Tobey Maguire got bit by a spider, but me, it was a goat. I did listen to that. It was fine. I believe that's probably on this album. So I'm interested to see, like, what is said about everything that we've talked about at this very moment on this album. So I'll probably listen to it in the coming days.